Hey everyone. Welcome to AfriHeart Stories, your go-to spot for African tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment. Now sit back and enjoy. Naomi Mitchell pressed her badge against the reader at precisely 6:03 a.m. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as she slipped through the back entrance of Orion Innovations, her neat work uniform unremarkable against the gleaming chrome walls. No one in her suburban cul-de-sac knew that at dawn each week she traded diapers and coffee spills for mop handles and industrial cleaner. But to Naomi, each silent step down the linoleum hallway was a small shout of liberation. The janitor's closet door creaked behind her. The scent of lemon disinfectant and old vinyl greeted her like an old friend. She exchanged her modest wardrobe for a pair of safety boots, clipped on a utility belt, and tucked her dark hair under a cap. Then, with a deep breath that tasted like hope, she selected a mop from the rack and stepped into the first cluster of workstations. At first light, the tech hub was a cathedral of ambition, row after row of desks strewn with empty coffee cups, devices rigged for late-night coding binges and idea boards brimming with neon posts. By day, Naomi was invisible, a silent presence gliding behind rows of monitors, elbow-deep in sudsy water. But every scrub of stainless steel and every scrub of glass panels carried her further from the constraints of her own kitchen, where her husband, Marcus, insisted she didn't need to work. She paused at a whiteboard covered in hastily sketched diagrams, a failed startup's aftermath. No one to claim these prints, so she gingerly inked her own name in the corner, and Mitchell. She smiled. That tiny flourish was all the permission she needed. The rhythmic swish of her mop erased the day's grime, and as the floor brightened beneath soft morning light, Naomi tucked away her doubt. Back home, she played the perfect housewife, folding laundry with a practiced gesture, warming oatmeal for her daughter, Maya, chatting about school performances. Marcus leaned back in the sofa, scrolling through headlines on his tablet. "Why do you need to work?" he would ask when the subject came up, though she never let him see the glint in her eye. She had learned long ago that freedom rarely arrives with an invitation. When the clock chimed 8:15 p.m., Naomi slipped away again, trading aprons for her seamstress's kit. Under the humming halogen lamp in her converted closet workshop, she traced new designs on scrap fabric she'd salvaged from Orion's trash bins. Each stitch felt like a small rebellion against quiet desperation. The hush of homemade creativity was sweeter than any praise Marcus could give. By midnight, exhaustion tugged at her shoulders. Maya had long dreamed of a dress, just like the ones on TV, and Naomi intended to deliver. The roar of quiet determination propelled her fingers over thread and seam. Tomorrow she would return to the corridors of Orion, armed with a mop, and armed with the first seeds of something she refused to name aloud. Because in the hush before dawn, Naomi Mitchell had already begun to rewrite her own story. Late one afternoon, Naomi wheeled her mop bucket past an unassuming storage room tucked behind the cafeteria. The sliding wooden door hung crooked, its paint chipped. She paused, mop poised midair, and noticed discarded sketchbooks and rolled blueprints stacked against a corner. Curiosity pricked at her tired mind. She had seen larger offices, but this was different. Everything was scientific chaos, hand-drawn prototypes of wearable tech, data charts tagged Phase 2, and handwritten notes detailing abandoned concepts. While no one was watching, Naomi knelt and pried open the top box. Inside lay mood boards for a fashion tech startup called Sinkware. There were swatches of smart fabrics, diagrams of embedded sensors woven into jackets, and mock-ups of wireless charging pockets. Beneath that, a folder labeled Alpha Collection promised something bold. Naomi's heart quickened. These weren't trash, they were treasure abandoned by failure. She slung one blueprint under her arm and glanced down the hallway. The hub had emptied out for the day, cleaners and security guards were gone. With cautious steps, she retreated to her janitor's closet and closed the door. In the faint glow of an emergency exit sign, Naomi unfurled the sketches across a fold-down shelf. Each page whispered possibility, as if breathing life back into these forsaken dreams. It felt thrilling. For a moment, she imagined presenting these designs as her own, but the thought made her chest tighten with guilt. Instead, she carefully selected 2 fabric samples and slid them into a zip pouch. At home, the samples would inspire new creations, an homage to discarded brilliance. That evening, Naomi arranged her living room floor into a makeshift design studio. She spread the blueprints beside her sewing machine, tracing sensor placements on old denim jackets she scavenged from yard sales. Stitch by careful stitch, she integrated slim battery packs and conductive thread into the seams. The jacket shimmered under her desk lamp, where the slash of street lamp light met the gleam of reused hardware, a fusion of grit and innovation. Maya burst into the room clutching a teddy bear. "Mama, you're up late again." Naomi ruffled her daughter's curls. "Working on something special." She handed Maya a swatch. "Look, tiny lights that charge your gadgets." Maya's eyes lit up. "It's magic." "Magic built from what others threw away," Naomi said softly. She tucked the garment onto a mannequin stand fashioned from a hanger and a broom handle. The empty coat rack felt like an audience of one, but Naomi felt seen. By dawn, exhaustion and excitement warred inside her. The sinkware plans had stirred something wild within her, proof that greatness can be born from refuse. Naomi zipped her pouch and hid it beneath the floorboard of her workshop closet. Tomorrow she would mop floors again. But now she carried ambition in her glove pocket, a spark that refused to be discarded. At sunrise, Naomi scribbled plans in the margins: prototype testing, material sourcing, a showcase. She knew the path would be rocky, but her vision was resolute. Naomi pushed open the janitor's closet each evening with a flutter of anticipation. By day, fluorescent lights reflected off her cleaning supplies. But after dark, the cramped space transformed into her private atelier. She swept aside mop handles to reveal a fold-down shelf that served as a makeshift cutting table. A single clamp-on lamp cast soft light across scissors, spools of colorful thread, and the salvaged fabrics she'd collected from discarded shipping crates. Tonight, she planned her most ambitious design yet. The Alpha Collection blueprint lay spread beneath her fingertips, a roadmap to jackets equipped with wireless charging pads and hidden pockets. Naomi draped a patchwork of electrified fabric across her shoulders and pinned it carefully. Each sensor stitched into place required delicate precision. Her fingertip pricked on a stray pin, but she barely noticed. Her pulse thrummed with creative energy. Outside, distant traffic hummed like a far-off heartbeat. Inside the closet, the air smelled of sweat, starch, and hope. Naomi hummed softly a tune of rebellion, recalling the words of an online mentor. "Greatness is hidden in places nobody looks." She smiled. This cramped storage room had become her incubator. She measured twice and cut once, her scissors slicing through smart textile with satisfying smoothness. A battery module lay by her knee. Naomi slipped it into a hidden pocket she'd reinforced with conductive wiring. Then she tested the connection. A tiny LED blinked to life, casting a pale glow against the dark denim. A thrill shot through her chest. "Mama, where are you?" a muffled voice called from the living room. Naomi glanced at the clock. 11:47 p.m. She wiped her hands on a rag. "Almost done, sweetie," she answered. She secured the final stitch and carefully removed the prototype. Holding it under the lamp, she examined every seam. The glow of the LED made cracks of light dance across the metal bucket beside her. This was more than a garment. It was proof that discarded innovation could be reborn. She whispered a vow. Nothing would stop her now, not even doubts, lingering fear, or crushing exhaustion. At home, Marcus had begun to notice empty detergent bottles and misplaced fabric scraps. He frowned in passing. Naomi greeted him with a smile and a plate of leftover pasta. He didn't ask too many questions. Back in the closet, Naomi draped the finished jacket on a hanger. It felt alive, charged with possibility. She closed her eyes and pictured Zoe Ray wearing it on a rooftop shoot. She pictured orders flooding in. She pictured her daughter's face when she saw the luminous pocket lights at bedtime. Time slipped by, measured in buzzes of her sewing machine and the distant click of the front door. At last, she unplugged the lamp, folded the jacket into a dust-free bag, and tucked it behind cleaning supplies. Her sanctuary would soon disappear under the morning's routine. But tonight, she had conjured magic in the closet, and nothing could dim her triumph. The next morning, Naomi marched into the hub carrying a sealed garment bag. Inside was her first finished prototype. A denim jacket accented with conductive panels and a battery pack hidden in one sleeve. Her pulse pounded as she approached the central elevator, where Marcus had parked his electric car. He stepped out, tie loosened, phone in hand. "Morning," Marcus said, glancing at her bag. He opened the zipper and lifted out the jacket. "What's this?" Naomi squared her shoulders. "My design. I want your honest opinion." He ran a fingertip over the metallic stitching. His brow furrowed. He peeled the conductive panel back and pressed a button. The LED on the sleeve blinked. "Cute," he smirked. "A flashy toy for toddlers?" Naomi felt heat flare in her cheeks. "It's functional," she said. "Wireless charging. Hidden pockets. It's wearable tech." Marcus snorted. Wearable tech. It looks like you glued Christmas lights to a pair of jeans. Nearby colleagues slowed their pace to watch. Naomi's heart hammered. This was her moment. She squared again. It's more than lights. It's autonomy. He chuckled. Please. I don't need that in my wardrobe. Stick to cleaning floors, babe. That word slammed into her chest like a brick. Babe. Beneath her professional apron. A label she had walked away from every evening. She gripped the jacket and zipped it closed. I have to go, she said, voice steady. Naomi turned and marched toward the stairwell, blinking back tears. By lunchtime, gossip swirled. Marcus Mitchell's wife is designing clothes now, they whispered. Naomi kept her head down, returning mops and buckets to their racks. But each scrubbing motion steadied her, channeling frustration into focus. Back in her closet workshop that night, Naomi stowed her uniform and retrieved the jacket. She examined every seam, every connector. If Marcus saw flaws, she would fix them. The burn of embarrassment fueled her energy. She worked until her eyes blurred, reinforcing stitches and polishing the metallic panels. Designers don't quit when their work is mocked, she murmured. The closet walls seemed to pulse with new confidence. The jacket looked refined, sleek, unstoppable. So was she. In the darkened closet, surrounded by brooms and buckets, Naomi closed her eyes and breathed deeply. She pictured Zoe Ray wearing the jacket at her shoot, the camera capturing every glowing seam. She pictured orders stacking up, her name on glowing storefronts. With renewed determination, she whispered to herself that this was only the beginning of a revolution she would lead. She whispered into the hush, "Babe, no more." Then she turned off the lamp and wandered back to the kitchen, where Maya slept peacefully. Naomi kissed her forehead. Tomorrow she would test her design on a willing runway, her own terms. Days later, Naomi stood in front of the mirrored elevator doors clutching her jacket prototype. She watched her reflection, dark eyes determined, apron swapped for a tailored blouse. She was on her way to the cafeteria, but today's mission felt weighty. As the elevator chimed open, a cluster of engineers and designers filed inside. Naomi stepped in at the back, heart pulsing. A young woman at the front turned and brushed a stray curl from her dark-skinned face. She wore a tailored synthetic dress that caught the morning light. Her badge read, Zoe Ray, Content Creator. Naomi remembered Zoe's glowing Instagram post featuring the luminous jacket on her daughter a week ago. Orders had skyrocketed after that reel. The doors closed and Naomi inched forward. She swallowed, then called softly, "Excuse me, Zoe?" Zoe turned, surprise flickering in her eyes. Naomi extended the jacket with both hands. "I made this for you. Thank you for sharing my work." Zoe's lips parted. "You made this?" she asked, voice bright. She ran her finger along a seam. "It's incredible." The slim LED panel lit up beneath her touch. Naomi's throat closed. She nodded. "Prototype. Please be honest." Zoe's smile widened as she slipped the jacket on. She tapped a hidden switch. The jacket glowed subtly, illuminating her silhouette. "This is amazing," she breathed. "I want one in every color." Other riders looked on, impressed. One whispered, "Where can I buy that?" Zoe laughed and told the group to gather offline. Naomi's knees threatened to buckle. She gripped the handrail as the elevator ascended. "You have talent," Zoe said, her voice low. "Real talent." She pushed a flyer toward Naomi, detailing a local rooftop shoot that afternoon. "Come by. Let's make magic together." The elevator dinged at Naomi's stop. She stepped out into a crowd of developers, leaving Zoe to continue to the 10th floor. Naomi looked down at the printed flyer, her first official invitation into a creative world beyond solitude. She pressed it to her chest and felt a rush of validation. As she climbed the narrow staircase to her closet workshop, Naomi's mind raced. She replayed Zoe's words, feeling light years from the scorn of doubt. Downstairs, someone might still see her as the quiet cleaner, but here she was an innovator. Her daughter would beam with pride. And Marcus? He would learn, soon, that Naomi Mitchell was more than a supportive spouse. She was a visionary in her own right, unstoppable and unapologetic. Nothing could stop her. Tomorrow she would step beyond cleaning and into creation. She folded up her apron and set it aside. The girl in the elevator had opened a door. Naomi was ready to walk through it. The city's lights blinked like distant stars as Naomi settled at her sewing table well past midnight. Her eyelids fluttered with exhaustion, but she refused to yield. Earlier that evening, Maya had fallen asleep clutching a half-finished doll dress. Naomi kissed her daughter's forehead, whispered, "I'll finish this," and tiptoed back to her workshop closet. The contrast between the hush of her home and the hum of her sewing machine felt like two worlds colliding, and Naomi loved every second. By daybreak, she'd clocked 12 hours at Orion Innovations, scrubbing floors and sanitizing keyboards. Now, in the soft glow of her clamp lamp, she stitched sample after sample, fueled by black coffee and stubborn determination. Her apron lay draped over a chair, replaced by a thread-spattered apron she'd fashioned herself, with an embroidered motto, "Build or be built." The borrowed phrase steeled her resolve. She worked on 3 pieces simultaneously: a sleek jacket with charging pockets, a tote bag lined with sensor-actuated LEDs, and a pair of leggings embedded with temperature-regulating fabric. Each stitch felt like a manifesto. Her hands moved on autopilot, yet her mind raced. Upcoming pop-up event, contacting suppliers, marketing strategies. There was no room for doubt. At 3:17 a.m. a text pinged on her phone. "Zoe, I love the designs. I'll DM details." Naomi's heart thundered. She leaned back, stretching cramped muscles, and reread the message. Zoe Ray, the influencer whose reel had ignited Naomi's confidence, wanted more. Naomi emailed Zoe her portfolio link in half a minute, shaking so badly that she almost hit delete instead of send. She leaned forward and resumed sewing, each snip of the scissors punctuating her heartbeat. Time blurred. She lost track of the hours until the first gray streaks of dawn appeared outside her window. The prototype jacket lay finished on the shelf, sleek, seam-perfect, and still warm from her breath. In those pre-dawn hours, Naomi glimpsed the cost of ambition. Fatigue, missed cuddles with Maya, the cold neglect of her own body. Yet the reward gleamed brighter. With one final press of her iron, she stepped back and surveyed her creations. The closet had blossomed into a workshop of dreams. When Marcus crept out for work at 7:02 a.m., Naomi was already at her desk, drafting emails and calculating inventory. He paused at the doorway and frowned. "You're up early." Naomi gave him a tight smile. "Just planning the day." He nodded, unsettled, and moved on. Naomi watched him go, feeling both apology and triumph well up inside her. She knew that building an empire meant sacrifice. But the knowledge that she was building something real, something that no one could take away, made her ignore throbbing shoulders and burning eyes. As the sun rose, painting her living room in gold, Naomi realized her world had shifted. The relentless hustle at 3 a.m. was not just a moment of toil, it was the furnace where her empire was forged. And she wouldn't rest until it shone. On laundry day, Naomi loaded Maya's favorite dress into the dryer and set it to tumble. She answered Marcus's call about dinner plans and hummed a tune as the machine roared. Minutes later, the dryer's alarm signaled a cycle complete. Naomi peeled open the door, and her stomach lurched. The pastel fabric lay charred at the hem, marred by blackened patches. The dress was ruined. Maya's laughter from the bedroom halted. "Mama?" Naomi's heart pounded as she lifted the singed garment. "Sweetie, I'm so sorry." She fought back tears, tracing her finger over the scorched fabric. That dress had been the spark for her first custom order. It represented both creativity and hope. That night, Naomi carried the ruined dress to her workshop. The closet walls felt tighter now, the air heavy with regret. She laid the scorched fabric on the table and studied it under her clamp lamp. Then, with deliberate calm, she cut away the blackened hem. What remained looked vulnerable, raw edges and tears. She retrieved denim scraps from her stash and began patching the gaps, weaving in threads of electric blue that matched Zoe Ray's brand aesthetic. She reinforced seams with conductive wiring and embedded tiny LEDs along the neckline. As she stitched, Naomi whispered to herself, "This failure will define me, not defeat me." By 2 a.m., the charred victim had transformed into a statement piece, a dress that glowed with resilience, each repaired seam a badge of triumph. She slipped into the garment herself, checking its fit. The LEDs pulsed gently, like a heartbeat against her skin. Naomi uploaded photos to her private folder and sent them to Zoe. "Burned sample, thought you might like the remix," she typed. Then she leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. Failure had taught her more than success ever did. The next morning Zoe's reply arrived. "Wow. This is genius. Let's showcase it." Naomi felt as if she'd breathed underwater and finally surfaced. The burned dress's rebirth marked a turning point. It wasn't just about fashion tech anymore, it was about resilience, creativity, and the refusal to be defined by setbacks. Maya peeked into the closet and gasped at the sight. "It's beautiful, Mama." Naomi scooped her up, tears glistening in both their eyes. "It's ours." In that moment, Naomi understood that true breakthroughs often arise from the ashes of mistakes. And as she prepared for Zoe's showcase, she carried a secret smile. Her empire was built on imperfection, and that made it unstoppable. A notification icon blinked on Naomi's phone as she scrubbed grout in the kitchen. It read, "Zore, urgent, check DMs." She paused, detergent bucket forgotten, and tapped the message. Zoe had tagged her in an Instagram story, a photo of the remixed burn dress, glowing under studio lights. Below, Zoe messaged, "I want this as my feature look at tonight's event. Meet me at Rooftop 9 at 8 p.m. Naomi's heart raced. She juggled the mop handle in one hand and her phone in the other, blinking rapidly. "Yes. On my way." She wiped her hands on her apron and dashed to her closet workshop to grab the glowing garment. At Rooftop 9, a converted helipad turned pop-up lounge, colored lights danced over concrete pillars. Zoe stood beneath a neon sign that read, "Elevate," scrolling through her phone. When Naomi approached, Zoe spun around, eyes wide with excitement. She pulled Naomi in for a hug and whispered, "You're the real MVP." A crowd of creative types circled them. Models, photographers, stylists, all buzzing. Zoe draped the dress over a mannequin, then whispered directions. "We'll shoot sunset light, then drop the reel at midnight." Naomi crouched beside Zoe, adjusting seams and ensuring every LED was calibrated. Zoe snapped photos and filmed 15-second clips, praising the dress's story, from broken to brilliant, Naomi Mitchell's magic. Viewers live-streamed heart-eyed emojis flooding the chat. As golden hours shimmered, Naomi felt the weight of every late night, every burned hem, every doubt, the culmination represented in one glowing gown. When Zoe pressed go live, Naomi's heart threatened to leap from her chest. Comments streamed, "This is insane tech. Where can I buy?" Naomi for the win. By the end of the night, Naomi had gained 20,000 followers, 3 pre-orders, and an invitation to pitch on a local talk show. She left Rooftop 9 buzzing, phone ringing off the hook. Even Marcus called, concerned about her safety at such hours. Naomi smiled and told him she was fine. That night, as she finally collapsed into bed, her mind whirled with possibilities. A simple DM had shattered her world open. And now, the empire she'd built in secret was beginning to stand in the light. The morning sun filtered through lace curtains as Naomi prepared breakfast for Maya. She hummed, feeling energized after the Rooftop 9 triumph. But when Marcus walked in, his expression was stormy. "We need to talk," he said, voice low. Naomi's heart fluttered. "About work?" she asked, pouring juice. Marcus set his coffee on the counter. "Your late nights, your obsession, this can't go on. The house is falling apart. Maya needs you." He paused, ice cold. "I'm sorry, but it's either you quit this nonsense and focus on family or I leave. I can't watch you throw away everything for a hobby." Silence. Naomi's spoon clinked against her cereal bowl. She stared at Marcus, shame and defiance warring inside her. He meant quit the empire, but Naomi heard quit herself. She drew a slow breath. "Maya needs me," Naomi said quietly. She looked at her daughter playing with her cereal. "And she needs to see Mama follow her dreams." Marcus's jaw clenched. "You're not following dreams, you're chasing vanity while our family suffers." Naomi's pulse pounded. "I built an empire in a closet. I clean floors. I love our family. But I refuse to give up my purpose." Marcus shook his head. "Then this ends." He pushed back his chair and moved toward the door. "I can't stay." He left before Naomi could answer. The door clicked shut. Naomi sank onto the sofa, tears spilling. Maya toddled over, wrapping chubby arms around her. "Mama?" she whispered. Naomi hugged her daughter. "It's okay, baby. I'm okay." She stroked Maya's hair. "Everything will be okay." That afternoon, Naomi retrieved her laptop and drafted a manifesto-style post. "I won't apologize for following my passion." She hit publish. Within minutes, responses flooded in, supportive messages from fellow hustlers, mothers, creatives. Zoe reposted with the caption, "Naomi fights for her family and her future. Respect." By evening, Naomi had a meeting scheduled with a podcast host to discuss work-life balance, and how women can do both. She realized that Marcus's ultimatum, though painful, had clarified her path. Family and empire were not mutually exclusive, they could coexist. Naomi looked around her living room, dishes piled in the sink, laundry waiting. She smiled. Tomorrow she'd juggle mothering, empire building and self-care with renewed purpose. Because passion was not a choice, it was her calling. That night, Naomi packed a small suitcase, 2 outfits, her laptop, and Maya's favorite bedtime book. At 9 p.m., she slipped out the front door, leaving a note on the kitchen counter. I love you both. I need space to finish what I started. I'll be back soon. Then she drove to her sister's apartment. When Naomi arrived, her sister, Eliza, enveloped her in a hug. Tell me everything, Eliza whispered. They sat on Eliza's balcony, the cityscape sparkling below. Naomi recounted Marcus's ultimatum, her empire's momentum, her fear of losing both love and ambition. Eliza listened, offering coffee and gentle words. You deserve to build without apologies. Naomi nodded, tears glazing her eyes. I need space to think. To create without guilt. Eliza handed Naomi her laptop. Then work. She pointed to a quiet corner with a fold-out desk. Naomi logged in, opened her prototype files, and began refining designs. Maya snuggled beside her, listening to bedtime stories over video chat. For 3 nights, Naomi worked in solitude. No mops, no marriage tension, just the hum of her sewing machine and the glow of her prototypes. She finalized her first official product line, Dusk to Dawn, and uploaded it to her new website. Then she drafted press releases and scheduled social media campaigns. On the 4th morning, Naomi returned home, suitcase heavier, heart lighter. She found the house tidy, dinner ready, and Marcus waiting in the doorway. His face was quiet. Naomi met his gaze. I needed space to finish what I started. Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. He nodded and stepped aside. Naomi rolled her suitcase into the foyer. I'm not asking for permission, she said softly, just respect. Marcus's eyes softened. He offered a small smile. You have it. Naomi placed her suitcase down, picked up her laptop, and walked into her workshop closet. As she opened the door, the space looked different. No longer a secret hideaway, but a testament to her journey. The door clicked shut behind her, and Naomi felt something new, belonging both in her family and in her empire. Tomorrow she would launch Dusk to Dawn to the world. And this time she would walk forward with everyone she loved by her side. Naomi spent days converting Orion's unused server room into a makeshift boutique. She hung fairy lights from exposed beams, placed reclaimed crates as display tables, and printed minimalist signs on craft paper. Dusk to Dawn glowed in warm ink. Zoe Ray helped promote the event on Instagram. A single post hinted at a secret sale, and curiosity rippled through the tech hub's corridors. That afternoon, employees drifted in hesitantly. When they recognized Naomi, mop bucket set aside, wearing a sleek prototype jacket, they gasped. One engineer pressed the hidden sleeve switch, and soft LEDs traced geometric patterns across the denim. Phones emerged, reels began, and soon a lively crowd formed, queues snaking around server racks. Orders were scribbled on scraps of recycled paper. Phone charging jackets, tote bags with built-in lights, leggings that adapted to body heat. Maya sat on a stool beside her, distributing cotton candy, pink cards with product names, her grin eclipsing Naomi's nerves. As the line grew, Naomi demonstrated each piece with calm confidence. A skeptical manager tried on a jacket, plugged his phone into the cuff, and watched the battery icon climb. Incredible, he murmured. Zoe captured every moment, narrating live. From floors to fashion, Naomi Mitchell is rewriting the rules. Comments sprang up. Where do I sign up? She deserves all the praise. Within 2 hours, every sample was sold and pre-orders exceeded Naomi's wildest projections. A rival startup CEO appeared at the doorway, arms folded. He examined a glowing bag, ran his hand over the seams, then turned to Naomi. I want 10 pieces, he said, offering a business card. Naomi's heart thundered as she nodded. The empire she'd built in secret was now tangible. When the pop-up closed at dusk, she packed away empty crates and swept the floor. Her world had tilted on its axis. Maya tugged her sleeve. Can we open again tomorrow? Naomi laughed, exhausted and exhilarated. One day at a time, baby. Under that industrial ceiling, the seeds of her empire finally sprouted in full daylight. Within hours of Zoe's pop-up livestream, Naomi's creations exploded on social media. Her notifications pinged relentlessly, direct messages, comments, collaboration requests. By midnight, a reel of Zoe slipping into the LED jacket had amassed over 1 million views. Influencers tagged friends, tech bloggers drafted headlines, and fashion editors slid into Naomi's DMs. Orders from across the city poured in, luxury boutiques, corporate gift buyers, even a local celebrity stylist. Naomi barely slept. She sat at her kitchen table, laptop open, tallying orders and drafting shipment plans. Maya fell asleep on her lap, clutching a glowing fabric swatch. Naomi carried her to bed, whispered good night, then returned to her desk. Each ping reminded her that she was no longer invisible. That morning the Orion cafeteria buzzed with whispers. Did you see Naomi's line? She's trending worldwide. Colleagues approached with congratulations. Security guards offered to help pack boxes. Naomi smiled through exhaustion, her apron dusty from last night's rush. Marcus appeared at her table, phone raised. He scrolled through headlines. Janitor turned designer takes internet by storm. His eyes widened. That's your work? He asked, voice unsteady. Naomi nodded. It's really happening. Marcus's face softened with awe and something like pride. He sat down and handed her a coffee. I'm proud of you. Naomi accepted the cup, warmth spreading through her tired limbs. Thank you, she whispered. That evening, Naomi joined a live interview on a popular web talk show. She spoke candidly about juggling motherhood, marriage, and midnight sewing sessions. Viewers flooded the chat with heart emojis and applause. After signing off, Naomi closed her eyes and exhaled. In 24 hours, her secret world had become a global phenomenon. The floors she cleaned each dawn now shone under the spotlight of her own making. Despite viral success, Marcus struggled to accept Naomi's newfound fame. At breakfast, he skimmed an online article praising her as the rise from the floor's innovator. He sighed. It's just luck and timing, he muttered. Naomi looked up from stirring oatmeal. Luck has its own talent, she replied softly. I worked for this. Marcus pushed away his plate. Everyone can have a viral moment. But can you sustain it? What happens when the hype dies? Naomi's fingers paused. Then I'll create the next thing, she said firmly. This empire isn't built on luck. It's built on late nights, burned dresses, and relentless belief. Marcus studied her face, eyes bright with conviction. He opened his mouth but no words came. He left for work, leaving an echoing silence. That afternoon, Naomi faced her own doubts. She sat in her closet-turned-studio, prototypes lined on shelves, orders stacked in boxes. What if Marcus was right? What if this was only fleeting buzz? Her hands hovered over fabric scraps, heart sinking. Then her phone buzzed. Label X wants to partner on a sustainable line. Email after email confirmed it. Boutiques, journalists, and event planners were reaching out. Naomi felt the tide shift beneath her feet. Luck had opened the door. Her hard work was keeping it wide open. She stood and gathered sketches. Sustainability matters, she told Maya, who was drawing doodles on a spare envelope. I'll build something that lasts beyond today. Maya nodded, eyes shining. That evening, Naomi drafted partnership proposals and production timelines. Marcus returned home, quieter than usual. Naomi handed him a draft presentation for Label X. I want you to see how real this is, she said. He reviewed it, jaw set, eyes tracing each bullet point. This is impressive, he admitted. I underestimated you. Naomi laid a gentle hand on his. Then walk beside me, not behind. Marcus swallowed, then nodded. For the first time they stood as partners. One in love, the other in empire. A leading local YouTube channel invited Naomi for a sit-down interview. The studio was sleek, neon accents, comfy chairs, and a live audience. Naomi's pulse raced as she took her seat opposite the host, lights beaming and cameras rolling. Naomi Mitchell, the host began, we've seen your story everywhere. Janitor by day, designer by night. How did this journey start? Naomi smiled, recalling that first mop in Orion's hall. It started with necessity and curiosity. I cleaned floors to pay bills but craved creative expression. One day, I found discarded design plans in a trash bin. She described her midnight sewing sessions, the burned dress, and the influencer who believed in her. The audience leaned forward. When she spoke of self-doubt, eyes gleamed with empathy. When she revealed triumphs, applause thundered. Midway, the host asked about balancing family. Naomi spoke of Maya waking in the night for hugs, of Marcus's changing stance, of missing bedtime stories. She choked up. This journey cost me precious moments, but every stitch was worth building a future for her. A single tear rolled down her cheek. The audience rose in a standing ovation. Naomi blinked back emotion, heart full. Within minutes, clips of that emotional moment splashed across platforms. Millions watched. Women moved to tears, entrepreneurs inspired, families discussing late-night sacrifices. Hashtags trended. Hashtag Naomi Mitchell, hashtag Dust to Dawn. Backstage, the host hugged Naomi. "You shattered our assumptions," she whispered. Naomi exhaled deeply. The world had seen not just her designs but her heart. That interview didn't just break the web, it rebuilt the narrative of countless dreamers. Days later, Naomi's inbox overflowed with offers. Eco-fashion labels admired her sustainable approach. Tech conglomerates wanted exclusive licensing. Global retailers proposed pop-up partnerships. Naomi spent hours evaluating alignments, values, and production logistics. Over coffee, Zoe Ray advised, "Choose partners who respect your story, don't just chase the highest bid." Naomi nodded. She dialed the first caller, a boutique chain known for artisanal craftsmanship. On the call, she outlined quality standards, minimum order quantities, and ethical sourcing. "I want my customers to feel the soul in each stitch," she said. Next, she spoke with a technology firm eager to integrate her wearable tech into sports gear. Naomi asked pointed questions about data privacy and manufacturing conditions. They assured her of transparency. She made notes. By evening, she narrowed options to two: a sustainable fashion alliance and a boutique syndicate. Both offered fair payouts and aligned missions. Naomi drafted contracts and scheduled in-person meetings. At home, Marcus reviewed her draft. "You're at a crossroads," he said. Naomi took his hand. "This isn't just business. It's our legacy." Together, they marked calendars and arranged travel. The pressure mounted, but Naomi felt invigorated by the opportunity to scale responsibly. When she finally hit send on the last email, she closed her laptop and leaned back. The labels had called, and Naomi answered on her own terms. With partnership contracts signed, Naomi needed space. Marcus offered the garage, "Plenty of room and cheap rent," he said. But Naomi envisioned a bright, open studio in a creative district, not a cramped auto workshop. She toured a refurbished warehouse with high ceilings, skylights, and rustic brick walls. The landlord pitched a 3-year lease. Naomi examined the polished floors and imagined rows of work tables and fabric rolls. Felt like home. That night, she presented the option to Marcus. He raised an eyebrow but didn't protest. "If you think it's worth it," he said. Naomi signed the lease the next morning. She swore in a quiet voice, "This studio belongs to every dreamer." Within weeks, movers hauled sewing machines, fabric bolts, and lighting rigs into the new space. Naomi assembled her first team: a pattern maker she'd met at Zoe's event, a sewing assistant who'd pre-ordered her jacket, and a junior marketer recommended by the boutique chain. On opening day, the Dusk to Dawn studio sign hung proudly above the door. Maya joined her, holding balloons. Zoe Ray live-streamed the ribbon cutting. Marcus stood beside Naomi, a camera in hand, clapping loudest of all. Inside, sunlight spilled over work tables. The air smelled of fresh cotton and possibility. Naomi guided her team through production plans and upcoming launches. When she spoke, confidence radiated. That evening, Naomi locked the studio and looked back at the glowing sign. This was not just a workspace, it was a testament to every late night and risk taken. She whispered to the empty room, "We made it." Then she walked home with Marcus and Maya, the empire at last housed in its own shining domain. Once the studio thrived, Naomi invited Marcus and Maya to a weekend retreat celebrating her success. They boarded a chartered yacht decorated in soft whites and gold accents. Naomi expected smiles, cheers, and shared pride. Marcus stood by the railing, checking emails. Maya tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, look at the dolphins." Marcus barely glanced up. Naomi's chest tightened. She led Maya to the bow, pointing out a pod leaping alongside the hull. Maya squealed. Marcus finally looked, his smile delayed. Naomi studied him, always absorbed in his own world even amid her triumphs. That night, as dinner plates cleared, Naomi addressed Marcus gently. "We're here to celebrate together. Will you put away your phone?" Marcus sighed and set his device aside. "All right." He reached for Naomi's hand. Maya squealed again as fireworks ignited overhead. Later, Naomi found him back at his emails under the table. She felt her old fear flare, invisible in her own success. She touched his arm. "You're still here with me?" Marcus met her gaze. "I'm trying," he said softly. "I know I missed moments while supporting you." Naomi's heart fluttered. "I need you present, not just proud." He nodded, closing his laptop for good. That night, they lay on the deck, stars overhead, Maya between them. Marcus wrapped an arm around Naomi. "I promise to listen, to share this journey." Naomi exhaled relief. The empire she built by night had demanded every sacrifice, but it had unearthed the truth that a thriving marriage needs more than shared goals. It needs both hearts in the moment. Weeks later, Marcus arrived at the studio door with a bouquet of wildflowers and an envelope. Naomi paused mid-cut, surprise flickering across her face. He stepped inside, gaze earnest. "I owe you more than flowers," he began. "I ignored your journey. I focused on my own career and let you carry the weight alone." Naomi's jaw tightened. "You missed my first viral post, my biggest pop-up, many nights at the sewing machine?" Marcus nodded, eyes glistening. "I see that now. I was afraid of losing you to your ambition." Naomi folded her arms. "I needed you to stand with me, not stand aside." He handed her the envelope. Inside was a contract, a scholarship fund in Maya's name for aspiring women designers, financed by Marcus's company. "I want to help build the next generation," he said. "Together." Naomi's eyes filled. This apology came after many lonely nights, but it was sincere. She reached for his hand. "Thank you," she whispered. They embraced amid hum of sewing machines and folded prototypes. In that moment, forgiveness stitched a new seam in their relationship, one stronger than doubt, built on mutual respect and shared purpose. Naomi returned to Orion Innovations not as a janitor but as a keynote speaker at their annual startup summit. She navigated the familiar corridors that once witnessed her midnight mopping. Employees recognized her and applauded as she passed. In the main auditorium, rows of seats buzzed with anticipation. Naomi stepped onto the stage, wearing a tailored suit from her dusk to dawn line. A single spotlight illuminated her. She smiled, heart racing. "Thank you all for welcoming me back," she began. "I started here cleaning floors wondering if anyone ever saw me. Today I stand before you to share how failure, resilience, and belief can transform anyone's life." She recounted her journey, finding discarded blueprints, midnight sewing sessions, the burned dress, the pop-up, and the viral storm. Each anecdote drew laughter, gasps, and cheers. She unveiled her latest innovation, a self-healing fabric that repairs small tears with embedded microcapsules. The audience erupted as Naomi demonstrated a tear healing in seconds under a warm light. Questions flew. Investors approached with partnership proposals. Engineers offered tech refinements. Naomi's empire expanded in real time. After the summit, Marcus and Maya joined her backstage. Maya held a miniature version of the self-healing jacket. Marcus wrapped his arm around Naomi. "You were brilliant," he said. Naomi kissed his cheek. "We were." Years later, Naomi stood on the rooftop of her flagship Dusk to Dawn headquarters, overlooking a city skyline at sunset. Her empire, born in a mop closet, had grown into a global brand championing sustainable innovation and female empowerment. She watched Maya, now a bright teenager, demonstrate the self-healing fabric at a charity gala. Marcus filmed proudly. Tear in Naomi's eye, she realized that success wasn't about fame or fortune but freedom. Freedom to create, to choose, to lead. A group of young women interned below, sketching new prototypes and mapping global launches. Naomi joined them, hands flour-dusty and ink-stained, guiding their ideas. She remembered the woman she was, unsure, unseen, armed only with grit. Tonight, she would celebrate her empire's anniversary with a gala, complete with live demonstrations, charity auctions, and heartfelt speeches. But in this quiet moment on the rooftop, she savored the simple truth. She had built more than a brand. She had built a blueprint for anyone who dared to dream beyond their assigned roles. Below, city lights twinkled like possibility. Naomi inhaled the cool night air and whispered into the wind, "This freedom is ours." And under the vast sky, empire and family stood united, proof that the greatest power lies in forging your own path. Liked it? Thumbs up, subscribe, and join the AfriHeart fam. Your support fuels our stories. Until next time.